Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Right Now with Miss Steinbauer. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about two different rhetorical devices, which are polysyndeton and anaphora. Both of these devices have to do with syntax, that is, your sentence structure, and they both include a type of repetition. So let's get into it. The first device is polysyndeton, which is the deliberate use of many conjunctions for special emphasis to highlight quantity or mass of detail, or to create a flowing, continuous sentence pattern. Now remember, a conjunction is a word that connects clauses. So these would be words like and, but, and or. So when you're using polysyndeton, you're using several or many of these of and, but, or in your sentence. Let's take a look at how authors have used this device in real-life pieces of writing. The first passage is from a book called Outliers by the writer Malcolm Gladwell. Rice agriculture is skill-oriented. If you're willing to weed a bit more diligently and become more adept at fertilizing and spend a bit more time monitoring water levels and do a better job of keeping the clay pan absolutely level and make use of every square inch of your rice paddy, you'll harvest a bigger crop. So you can see here that Malcolm Gladwell is using a repetitive use of the word and in order to build more information and add more information within the sentence. The main idea is that he wants to show that rice agriculture is skill-oriented, that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of skill in order to do that. So by adding and building these clauses on top of each other by using this word and, it really emphasizes the idea that it is skill-oriented, that it takes a lot of hard work, and that there are many aspects that go along with rice agriculture. Let's take a look at another example. Getting into college is simple. If you're willing to forego sleep by waking up early and going to bed after midnight, and devote all of your free time to studying, and spend every holiday volunteering and doing service work, and maintain a GPA that is higher than 4.0 by taking all AP courses, and lose your hair and your sanity in the process, you will surely find yourself getting accepted to a top 20 university by the end of high school. I'm sure many of you can relate to this sentence. As you can see, the sentence is also using polysyndeton with the use of the repetitive and by building or adding several clauses onto the first independent clause, which is getting into college is simple. Now, the result or the effect of this is not only that it builds up a lot of information, so it's emphasizing all of these different parts and all of the different things that someone would have to do in order to get into college, but the end result is also some irony, because the fact is that it's not actually simple. After you read all of these different pieces that you have to do in order to get accepted, you'll see that it actually is quite a lot of hard work and probably a bit of stress on top of that. The next device in this lesson is anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of the same word or group of words at the beginning of successive clauses. Anaphora can be used for a few different things. It can be used to emphasize an idea that you want to convey. It can also be used to appeal to pathos in order to evoke a particular emotion or feeling from your audience. A lot of times speakers who are giving a speech will use anaphora, and what happens is by repeating a certain word or a phrase at the beginning of a clause, your readers or your listeners will start to anticipate the next line, and they get drawn into your words through a sense of participation because they almost can guess what's coming next. And because of that, they're more receptive to the emotional resonance that you're trying to build or trying to get across. So let's take a look at a couple of different examples of different authors and writers using anaphora. The first one is one of the most famous first sentences of a novel, which is from A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. So you can see the anaphora being used here at the beginning of each clause with the repetition of it was the, it was the. And what happens is because Charles Dickens is saying it was, it really places the emphasis on what's at the end of that clause. The best of times, worst of times, age of wisdom, age of foolishness. So by repeating that same thing, it's putting the emphasis on the other part. The other thing that's going on within this sentence is an incredible use of contrast by placing two very different things close to each other, and that also helps to build or emphasize the point that he's trying to make. Let's take a look at another example, which is by Oprah Winfrey in a speech that she gave. She said, "So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault. They are the women whose names we'll never know. They are domestic workers and farm workers. They are working in factories and they work in restaurants. They are in academia and engineering and medicine and science. They are part of the world of tech and politics and business. They are our athletes in the Olympics and they are our soldiers in the military." So we're seeing anaphora being used with the successive or repetitive use of they are at the beginning of each sentence or different clauses. And the effect here is showing the all-encompassing way that she's trying to include women of all different ranks and status and places within our society. And by repeating the they are, this is what builds that emotional resonance, because this piece of writing is meant to be heard. It's a speech, so it's being spoken. So if you are in the audience, again, it's like you can almost start to anticipate what's coming next, and the repetition here really, really builds. And especially if you are a female or a female in with belonging to one of these groups, you're going to feel a sense of solidarity, a sense of pride, and those are the types of emotions that are really going to get built up here. I've got one more example of anaphora. Everyone else was following the path paved for them. Everyone else had a dream or a goal. Everyone else was happy, but everyone else wasn't me. So in this sentence, the phrase being repeated at the beginning is everyone else, everyone else, everyone else. And what makes it so powerful is that when you get to the end, you see the contrast of, but everyone else wasn't me. The power here comes from showing that this person feels very, very different. They feel like they don't belong in some way because everyone else is doing something, but that everyone else wasn't me. So the anaphora here is helping to emphasize that difference. So those are the two rhetorical devices that I want you to work on this week as you're writing your journals. See if you can include an instance of either polysyndeton or anaphora in your writing. And as always, happy writing.